Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerf Herder Show, the one-stop shop that is all things geek. I'm your host, the Arbiter, and if you're into video games, movies, esports, or pop culture, you came to the right place. And whether you're a lifelong geek or you're just getting started, the Nerf Herder Show is the best place to be. So let's take a seat and let's talk geek. Welcome back, everybody. As I had mentioned, I am the Arbiter, and you're wondering why we call this the Nerf Herder Show. So, uh, I am a huge Star Wars fan to introduce myself here, and I've been a massive fan for Star Wars for a number of years. Probably when I was a little teeny tiny cell, if we're gonna go that far back. So I'm gonna explain about how this show works. This show is basically going to be consist of a few topics of discussion, and then we are basically going to have the main theme of discussion for this show. So it's gonna be like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So um as we kind of guessed about how it is, why not start this show off with a big bang? We're starting things off with Star Wars. Star Wars. Yeah, no, we're gonna be terrible with that echo there. So we're gonna be covering just a couple things here with Star Wars related stuff, and we're just gonna have just fun with it. So as we know, we have a lot of things between of video games, movies, music, whole nine yards, action figures, Legos, whatever. So we have, our first set of talks between of, as you would say, for the video games. So when it came to video games, we had big hits with Star Wars Survivor, which was the most recent game that came out. I guess you could say probably from early of last year, and it has become a huge hit. As we see here from our screen here, is that you know Cal Kestis, is so called as a one of the main remaining survivors. No, there's a lot more out there. Trust me, buddy. Trust me. Anywho, so we have a lot of fun times as playing Cal Kestis in uh, not just this game, but also in the first game as well, which were very great gameplays. I had a lot of fun playing this, myself, and I had one heck of a time. And the the freedom that you could do within this game was a lot better than what you could have done in I guess you could say in the last one. Yes, you had a lot of excitement into that, but at the same time, it was more like more exploration for the second one, and I think that's what the developers were trying to bring into it. As you could see from from the gameplay, there was a lot more development into this game than they did from the first one. And along with games, we're going to be having a lot more of excitement when it comes to video games, especially this year, 2024, when we end up getting Star Wars Outlast, which is going to be a major hit for the coming years. Uh, and I think it's going to be bring major excitement to it. And as we know, with Star Wars Outlast, you basically play as a smuggler, and you basically you're just running your times as a smuggler and now trying to avoid the Empire, and you know you get to do a lot of stuff with it. I'm not sure what specifically, as we see here from the little video here on the side, is that we don't really know about what we're going to be able to have as capabilities within this game, But as far as we have seen from like the gameplay trailers, we were able to get a glimpse of what our capabilities will be, so far as of combat, you know, on the ground, uh, combat like on speeders, and also, you know, exploration and combat, um, in, you know, in your own ship. So I think we were very excited to see about how it's going to progress, as more as we get uh, into the release date later this year. Now, as far as I understand, that the release date is going to be later this year, as far as there's no late developments, so to speak. So we should be getting that probably sometime of either, I believe, August or September or October of this year, which is going to be very, very exciting. So if you guys actually are planning to play this game, make sure that you get yourself a copy of it. Make sure you get yourselves hooked up on this game, because overall, just by watching the trailer itself, it looks like it's supposed to be a very, very, very great game. But right now, we're just gonna have to find out and see about how this turns out, and how we picture ourselves into a different, uh, you know, different world within the Star Wars universe. But as you know, as we from solve from it, you know, we're gonna be seeing a lot of fun to it. You get a little companion too, you know, like not your own droid as like Cal Kestis is, but you get your little companion too. So hopefully the little companion has a little more interaction, like how you know, BD1 was with Cal Kestis. No idea. So hopefully we end up getting some type of fun action. I have no idea what that would be, but we you know, we got some small tastes about what will happen. So if you actually have not seen any type of gameplay trailers just yet, make sure that you do check that out, because uh gameplay trailer is actually pretty good. You know, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. So, you know, you know, we need to be able to see about what thoughts that are into it. And, you know, as more as we get trailers on, we're going to be able to see that more often. Now, we're going to be able to cut it to where we are able to see something about the gameplay aspects as what we see here. So, you know, as we see, like, the, you know, the gameplay is pretty it's pretty interesting, because um how would you I don't know how you explain it, but the gameplay itself seems to be very, very, you know, uh like, how would you say, special coordination. And, you know, overall, I think it should be very, very interesting about how you interact as a character within it, and how you're going to be able to take yourself to it. So we're going to be able to talk about more about that later on as the game progresses before release date. So, you know, if you guys have thoughts about it, you know, make sure that you leave a comment down below, and you know, tell us how you feel about it. So we are going to be able to break up into, you know, the special thing, which is the movies and TV shows. So we are here with our movies, and we're here with, you know, TV shows, clips, whatever it may be. Um, as far as I understand, and you all could say whatever you want in the comments, but when it comes to Star Wars movies overall, Empire Strikes Back is probably the best one out of all of it. Y'all can say what you like, but I believe Empire Strikes Back is probably the best one out of the entire franchise. So say what you feel in the comment box, and tell you how you feel about that. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people out there who's going to be like, ooh, I don't agree with you, Timothy. Well, it's just a stay of opinion. So if you want to end up sharing that, make sure that you do so within the comments. You know, we've had a lot of development with a lot of TV shows and movies within, you know, the last 20 years, as you say. We've had a lot of developments between of CGI, special effects, character developments, and the explorations between of TV shows and exploring that range into streaming platforms as well. We do know that a lot of streaming platforms, especially Disney Plus, does end up populating a lot of the Star Wars franchise. So anything between of Star Wars related movies, shows, or anything like that is always going to be on Disney Plus, and anything that is new is going to be on there as well. Especially as we see here, we have Star Wars Acolyte. Acolyte is going to be the new TV show per se, that is going to be on Disney Plus, which will be coming out this June of this year. So I think this is going to be a very exciting show that is going to be coming out. Um, I'm interested to see about what goes on with the show and how it does when it comes to any type of character development, any twists or turns type of thing, and how it relates to the story overall. Because with me, as a Star Wars fan who's read the books, who's read any type of comic book for it, who's basically played all old video games of Star Wars, who's read a lot of fan fiction, and especially when you have a parent who's been on that Star Wars franchise since the franchise first began in the 60s. So, and it brought to life within the 70s. Um, so pops to my to my dad about that. So thank you, sir. Um, so and if you guys have never read any like Star Wars books or anything like that, and you don't know about what goes on in between of like certain things between of like the fall of the Empire, or what life is after Order 66, or what life is after Admiral Thrawn and all that such. Reading those Star Wars books are huge. Like for me, for example, like there was a lot of books that I have read where it was like, wow, I did not know that. I didn't know that. Like there were a lot of cases where Luke, Han, and Leia would end up having massive adventures for who knows where it would be on like places like Tatooine, Nar Shaddaa, or places in the Outer Rim, and it's just like, the heck do these guys end up doing? But it's just like, whew, and it's just the three of them that mostly goes like that, goes on those crazy adventures. And if you don't end up knowing certain stories, like when Luke Skywalker turns to the dark side and ends up ruling over the Empire, yeah, that's probably a story that you might end up wanting to check out yourself. So that's a big story that everyone should be able to know, and I feel like that they don't want to capture that type of part in the Star Wars universe, because I don't think a lot of folks think it's like big info that needs to be shared, which in all honesty it kind of does, because it's a huge indication to the Star Wars universe, and it affects everyone around within that universe too, because the Republic is crippling at that time. The Empire is rising. You have clones of Palpatines popping up out of random places. Luke Skywalker is like becoming 20 times more powerful than any other Jedi known to existence, or Sith. or Sith. Um, and then he ends up turning back to good after that. And it's just like, okay, and you know what they say is about is so cliche about it. This is so cliche is because he did it for love. So cliche. I don't know. I don't know. If y'all think it's cliche, then it's cliche. If you don't think it's cliche, well then it's a matter of opinion. Okay, we're just gonna leave it at that. So, um, and and correct me if I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, I mean I could be wrong, but I'm just saying here. I think I might know a lot more than what you think. Um, so, yeah. But breaking back to what we have as we see today, we have a lot of improvements about how Star Wars is being portrayed, I should say. And with all the illustrations between of animated shows, the live actions, and seeing characters that you have seen live action that have become anime characters, and the anime characters that you have seen that are live action characters, which you would have never thought of. Like as we know, we've seen characters like Ahsoka Tano, um, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, a vast number of characters that we have seen both animated and live action. And and we never expect to see about how uh the industry tries to portray those characters and how they end up bringing those characters to a better display uh overall, so to speak. It could be that could be their indication. I don't know exactly. So, but you know, and things like this is what we see with Star Wars Acolyte. We have a lot of depth in story, which is what brings up to a huge, uh, crazy indication to a lot within the Star Wars universe. It's like we're learning so much on new stories that come about, and we're just like, what can we be able to learn next? What can we be able to expect next within the Star Wars, franchise itself? We have seen things where we've seen perspectives between of like the Mandalorian, for example. We've seen of how a story of the Mandalorian is, what his daily life could be, and what he ends up doing to be able to survive. Um, we've been able to see stories like Star Wars Bad Batch, where we were basically seeing the story of a set of clone troopers, from Order 66 and on. And, we are having where we end up seeing a lot of short stories, whether if it's animated or live action, of different types of groups of characters that have a similarity to everything that's been going on, but they also have their own type of worlds that they end up living. And and it's also from the good and the bad. So it's just like how they intertwine with each other is just what becomes even more crazy. And then we end up seeing stories of like of how people that were part of the rebellion or part of the republic, of how they were before they became like a high general within the rebellion or something like that. Like as we know from Star Wars Solo, that was basically the story of Han Solo before he ended up and being a member of the rebellion. You saw him about how he became a smuggler. You saw him how he became part of the Empire for a duration of time. You saw how he got the Millennium Falcon from Lando Calrissian. You see the whole vast majority about how everything pans out into depth within the story itself. And it's interesting about how they do those things. And I feel like that we could see more of that. It's just, if the franchise is willing to do that. We had, um, we've had, other than with like Mandalorian and such, we've had the Boba Fett show where we saw, Boba Fett, like we thought he was dead. We thought he died from the Lazarus pit, but apparently no, Boba Fett was alive. It was like, what the fripp? So we had his own show that basically showed about what his uh life was about, being the number one bounty hunter in the world. World, gosh, no, that's the wrong word. The galaxy and everything like that, and it's just like, okay, sure, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But we thought we didn't like him in the first place, but he's got his own story, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we have characters like little eeny teeny little baby Yoda Grogu that who has hit like a huge phenomenon beyond any character within the franchise. You know, and I can guarantee that a lot of people who got into Star Wars probably got into Star Wars because of Grogu. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Grogu, he's so cute! Like, oh my goodness!" No, no, no. You get into Star Wars because of the beauty and magic of the franchise. So, um, but I think that's a lot to recognize, and also to be able to recognize as well is that the actors that have portrayed these characters over the years, and if you haven't been able to know or to see yourself, Hayden Christensen finally got his full recognition as his character within the franchise. I believe it was last year was when he got his recognition finally, and when he finally got that recognition, uh, uh, it brought him to tears, because I totally forgot what the event was, but um, when they brought him up to stage, everyone in the audience just like screaming and stuff. It was just like, they were such huge fans, and even though back then, his character wasn't really drawn on about much, his character got a lot of it now, and the love that he's gotten from the Star Wars community itself has been a huge change for him overall. And it's not just him as well. It's also been um, for many other people as well, and especially whether if it's the old cast or the new cast. I'm pretty sure that folks from the old cast have gotten a lot more love than folks from the new cast. Um, but that's just me. That's just me. Um, so and I think that it's just something that a lot of us tend to forget on, and I feel like that having a lot more recognition for especially characters like that gives it a vast long way to it. So another point I want to be able to talk about overall is that it's the greatness about how the Star Wars franchise has developed from the 1970s up to 2024. There has been a vast increase from popularity that we had seen from the very first trailer that came out in 1973 up to everything that we're seeing from the new video game that's going to be coming out this year. And it's going to be crazy. And as you see here from our screen on the left, this is gameplay from Star Wars Outlast, as I mentioned earlier, where you play as the smuggler, and things like combat that you see on speeders is just crazy. And I'm very very excited. I'm very excited to see how this all pans out. So, y- you know, tell me how you guys feel about everything that you know that you feel about Star Wars in general within the comments. And I like to be able to get, perspectives and opinions about how everyone thinks about everything between of, actors that have played characters, TV shows, movies, video games, fan fiction, uh, anything that you can think of. The more the more information that is shared, the more it's appreciated by a community that has loved it for so many years. And if you are also you know, like myself, who is a big fanatic about being Jedi and such, because you love the sabers and the crazy combats, you know, feel free to get yourself into those things. And especially if you end up liking to play more games, there's a vast amount of games that you could end up trying between of single player games, MMO, online games. There's been a vast majority of it within the years, and it has been a huge success with anything that's come out. So, um, let me know what you guys think about that. Even though that this has been a short episode here, we do appreciate for all of you tuning in and listening on to the Nerfer show. Be sure that you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure that you end up not missing any videos for this podcast. And, just keep yourselves lively out there. But until next time, guys, stay geeky.